Here we are for another week on Life at the Outpost. How you doing, Mitchy?
Sad.
Sad cowboy.
Sad cowboy noises.
Another week, and another loss.
Yeah. Two in a row. Two in a row. First one felt not so great because that was definitely one that we should have not dropped at all.
Mm.
The Sharks one was always going to be tough, so we
Yeah,
knew that. But like
yeah,
the fact that it's the same issue that has sort of plagued us is it's like, man,
yeah. Same sort of issues
frustrating.
leading to the same result.
Mm.
Points getting put on us because poor defense, lacking defense.
Straight up, just like effort in defense. Like I mean, a lot of the things that are put on us are, we're getting up out of tackles and walking back to our line and stuff like that, and just people just running straight past us, things like that. Um, there's a lot of just defensive errors, defensive choices being made, and that's not just exclusive to this round. It's not exclusive to last round. It's
Since the start of the
since the
season.
start of the season so
Yeah.
far. I mean,
Yep.
there hasn't been a single game where we've been disappointed in our attack. Probably right up until this Sharks game.
Mm.
Um, but defense has just been every single game. There's like we've had points put on us to some sort of a large degree. Like I think every single game we've had 2 to 3 tries put on us every game.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
and we've just managed to overcome those with big scorelines because of our attack.
Just putting on just some more points. Yeah.
Yeah, we just put on more points. That's it.
Yep.
So it doesn't really change the fact that we have had defense issues and we are still having defense issues and we haven't rectified it.
Yep. Yeah. You are exactly right. It's we've been harping on about it. You can only harp on about it for so long without it sending you crazy. But we've been talking about it since probably round 3, right? Like
Yeah, 2 or 3.
the
Yeah,
Knights game, but round 3, I would say.
yeah.
But Dragons game, I think it was the Dragons anyway.
Mm.
Yeah, just the same shit happening, man. Sharks were just toying with us this round anyway. We'll go back to the Eels game first. We might talk about that, but that was a little bit more of a contest. I mean, especially straight up, like first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I thought, oh geez, we're in here. This is it. This should be what it's going to be. And whatever reason, it just petered off. Defense, effort, everything just dropped off completely. It was pretty sad, pretty hard to watch.
Yeah. I mean, it's there was moments of brilliance for sure.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, I think there's still people in the team that have are probably okay on defense. They're probably a little bit unsure of their outside men on defense,
mm,
which makes it harder for them as well.
yep,
But I mean, like Chester had a really good defensive game. Um, Dearden had a very good defensive game, and I mean, Dearden even in the Eels game had a very good defensive game. Um, I think I want to say that Cotter had a pretty good defensive game, but he still made errors as well in terms of defense too.
yeah,
So
yep,
I think you could probably also argue that both games really, our completions have been pretty poor.
mm,
And I mean, if you don't have the ball, you're not winning the game.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well,
you can't get yourself anywhere. I mean,
yeah.
that's what it is.
Running through the Eels game, we'll go through the stats real quick. Possessions were nearly even. It was 51 to the Eels to 49 to the Cowboys. So pretty well even there in that.
Which
Indicative of the
shouldn't have been.
score, probably, I
Mm.
guess. When you look at it, it wasn't a massive score. It was only just a little bit in the end there. But yeah, completion rate 72%. Just not high enough. You know what I mean? 24 out of 33 sets completed. It's just, I don't know, not good enough in my opinion.
No,
Really,
not at all.
it's whether it be due to errors or whatnot.
It was mostly errors. I think even with both games,
Mm,
just the amount of drop ball is just insane right now.
yeah, yep, yep. I think we noticed it mainly with the Sharks game, but the amount of missed tackles and things as well, like
Mm.
ineffective tackles, was pretty wild. You've got in this Eels game
That
anyway.
Eels game, the ineffective tackles was like outside, like it was out of this world.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Well, we got it here. Tackles made total was 326 as opposed to the Eels 301. and then ineffective is 4 to the Eels, whereas 22 to the Cowboys. So just the amount of line breaks and whatnot, or tackle breaks rather, offloads and stuff off that to them. It's
Straight up
amazing
just
what they
defense,
mean.
like it's just straight up defensive choices, like
Yeah.
choices, just
Yep.
not reading the play
Yep.
and choosing the wrong man.
Yep.
That's all that came down to. But the fact that it happens 20 times in a game is,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
The Eels, if they were any better of a team, if they were doing any better, should have been far further ahead, or would have been far further ahead, which is
I mean, based off a 2 to
exactly
22, 2 to 22 or something like that, on
yeah,
that ineffective tackle count, it's like,
yeah,
man, that's wild. It's lucky. It's a miracle we didn't have 40 plus on
yeah,
us
which is exactly what happened this week.
this week,
Talk about
where
that.
we versed a team where they didn't have that issue at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so possession 55% possession to the Sharks to 45 to us. Yeah, we know that much. Completion rate, look at that, still sitting down there in the 70s, 73% as opposed to the Sharks 90%. That's what happens when you complete sets. And even the Sharks, I mean, it was almost like a training run, just doing chip kicks and whatnot, just mucking around for a little bit there almost. Some of their plays still completed insanely highly. So, yeah, tackles made in the end for us, it sort of evened up a little bit there toward the end, but because I think
There was definitely a moment there in that game where it was like 120 deficit.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
it was like 120 tackles made between us, and it was like, what's going on?
Yeah,
like
halfway through the second half, I think we might have looked at it and it was something like that. It was pretty
Yeah.
bad. Like the game was in dire straits there. I don't think we were coming back at that point. But yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. Tackles made, 391 to 308. Then you've got your missed tackle count of 39 with ineffective tackles 18 in comparison to the Sharks 9.
That's over 10 extra sets, like
Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, when defense is probably the main issue, it's a lot.
it's
It's a lot to have to defend when you're not defending or you're not successfully defending. Like you said, probably a few players there you can't really be too harsh on in terms of the effort. Defensive effort was there, but maybe errors and certain things are what sort of undid them a little bit, unfortunately. I think personally, like I say, I think Chester had a pretty good game. He's in that center spot there. He's doing well. He's slotted in well, and
he's got so much more to give as well. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Valame had another decent game as well, but he just didn't get the free reign to do much. And again, Dearden obviously, Dearden's always all heart, all effort, but it's just not enough. We've seen that the last few weeks. Playing the Broncos is a perfect example. You can be all heart, but doesn't really mean too much when the rest of the team's not competing. Yeah, it's tough. The only try we got was 2 homes. That was quite lucky. The Sharks just sort of lapsed a bit, and I think sort of gave up a little bit in a sense. They weren't really there to finish that defensive play off, and Holmes got over. We just didn't look likely almost every other time we got toward their end when we were lucky enough to. We just didn't really look likely, which was the hard thing. I mean, third tackle, we're in front of the sticks on the goalpost, and what happens? Someone drops a ball or throws an intercept, or it just a bit. It was hard to watch. The Sharks game was anyway.
There was a lot of lack of communication. It even felt like I was watching as well. Like normally you can sort of see and hear things in the game.
Yeah. Yep.
Wasn't a lot going on Cowboys' side whenever they had the ball.
Yeah.
And that doesn't go. I mean, whether that's just, I don't know, maybe that's just the fact that they're at Shark Park and it was hard, but I don't know. It just seemed like there wasn't a lot going on in terms of comms. There wasn't a lot going on in terms of like getting set plays run and stuff like that. Like
you could see
random stuff happening.
Like after that 4th try or so, man. Like
it was even at the point where it was on autopilot at one point.
Yeah.
Like Kyle Felt was like waiting to take his ruck in the middle of the field. He's like, just let's get it over and done with. But then they had to call it back or something.
Yeah.
He had to run in and go help. So it's
exactly right. Yeah, it was a bit of a tough watch. I mean, after that 4th try, I think it was 3rd or 4th try, one of them.
Yeah.
That's third try is probably when it started to fall apart. But that fourth try, just watching everyone standing in the goalpost, no one was really saying anything. They were kind of just, looking ahead, waiting for the kick, going, "Oh fuck, not again."
Not even looking ahead. There's a lot of people just looking elsewhere,
Yeah, yeah.
just looking around, just not even looking at the team, not
It
even
was
talking.
it
It's
was a
just
bit of yeah, it was a bit of well, uh, this is what it's going to be, I guess. Maybe I don't know. It was yeah, it was hard. It was a bit hard to sort of cop. I mean, when the effort's there, and you get outclassed by a team that's a step above at the time. It just it is what it is. But you at least
I mean,
got to compete.
Rubes even said it himself, the moment that game finished, he even said, we need to go back and take a hard look at ourselves here because this is not sort of expectation that we set.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. And yet to be seen, but Toddy saying very very likely or looking into making changes for the 17.
Which is clearly disciplinary, but
Yeah, what there will be, I don't know. I mean, what can they do? What are they going to bring in? I know Michele probably deserves a bit of a go. Gajewski, I mean, being a play, he's played all right. He's done well, but it's probably time to let someone that's going to be playing
the
next
only other
season
thing I can
onwards.
think of is bringing in Clifford early, but that seems like a very not so great play. I mean, he needs time as well, but like it seems very abrupt and also
Yeah,
poor
no,
situationally to bring him in straight away.
almost knee jerk. Like I don't mind that at all. If I'm
Mm,
being honest with you, I don't mind that at all. But unfortunately, I think it comes at the sake of Granville's spot,
mm,
where it seems like they really are just letting him live out his glory days, get a few more games in, sort of thing. Because they've already talked about it being his last season. We all saw that coming. We all knew
yeah,
that was going to happen. But you know,
even he saw that coming.
yeah, it's like what you can only offer so much, but also when the teams results when the teams are at stake, does it come a time where you say, hey, look, maybe we should put someone else in or something? I don't know. I'm not too sure. But I think it's probably not a bad shout to give Clifford a bit of a go. Not throwing him straight in the 6 or the 7 at all.
I think
Because
that's a bit. It's probably a bit much, especially
yeah,
like you said, knee jerk, right? Like I
yeah,
mean, I feel like you can't really just throw him in there and expect him to
yeah.
do anything
And I'm not
with it.
I'm not sold that he's the answer just yet as well. Like it's a good step, but I don't think he's going to be the answer to Chad to Chad's mediocrity at times. But yeah, you're not wrong in letting him get a bit of time in is definitely
Mm.
the play, and I think that's probably it. Maybe bringing him in at 14, and then potentially maybe he comes on and Chad slots off and does something else or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, yeah, there's definitely got to be something sort of done there because as I said, can't harp on forever. You can say the same shit like we have been, but
Mm.
defense is the biggest weak point there. And again, it's
I think probably the other thing that probably needs to be looked at as well is coping with coping with the inevitable. I guess you would call it in terms of dealing with how you feel when something happens in a game.
mm, mm,
I feel like a lot of the body language and a lot of the actual performance side of thing of our team also was significantly different after we received
penalties and stuff.
some less favorable calls.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I think at the end of the day, you can't change it.
mm,
You just got to keep playing, and
yeah,
it I don't know, it felt very defeatist in that Sharks game.
yeah,
And I mean, I know that that's not the reason why 40 points are put on. That's never the reason why 40
yeah,
points are put on.
yeah. Exactly right.
But I think realistically, you do need to still try and have that full game.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, it was probably that first 10 minutes or so, 10,
Yeah,
15
10,
minutes.
15. Yeah,
There
it
were
was
probably
just.
three or four calls that I just wanted to shake Butler. Like, are you fucking for real? Like, are you fucking serious, mate? Like,
I couldn't really believe some of them because especially when
yeah,
they'd happen literally like another 5 minutes later
yeah, the same thing.
and get called differently, and it's
Or
like,
let go.
man,
Yeah, yeah. My favorite was I think straight up Val contesting for the ball, and the Sharks, whoever the
Will
Sharks
Kennedy.
player was, Will Kennedy,
Yeah.
leapt into the air onto Val. So not leapt straight up, leapt onto Val, and he ruled you've got a duty of care to not be under the player. And Val said, "What do you mean?" He jumped onto me and he said, "Yeah, I know, mate, but you got a duty of care not to be there."
Yeah.
And then said, "See ya." and then I believe it was.
Happened literally up the other end of the field
I think
5 minutes
I
later.
think it was Felt not contesting a kick from the Sharks, and then Mulatalo, whoever it was, might have even
Mhm.
been Kennedy. It was one of them.
It was literally when Kyle like literally fell
Yeah,
from probably a good 2 meter drop,
yeah,
meter
he
and a half
jumped up
drop
to
onto his back.
contest, and then what are the Sharks doing? They're there, but this time Felt not jumping toward a Sharks player. The Sharks player running under to possibly contest for the ball as well, mind you, but worse, arguably worse with that call. You know, where's the duty of care for that player to not be under the player in the air? Then, oh, it's a different ruling now. Doesn't matter.
The other thing is, I mean, even with that initial one with Val, I mean, I could have copped that as an interceptor,
Mm.
but the whole duty of care thing, and then also, it like just the
Went out the
fact that
window.
it went out the window, it made
Yeah,
no sense.
yeah,
Didn't get it.
yep.
I don't know.
Went out the window as soon as the other team did it almost. But yeah, things like that, like when dog shit calls go that way. Um,
Hard to cop.
yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah,
mean, I imagine that as a player, it would be even
yeah,
harder to cop because you're just like, what the fuck am I doing, man? Like, what am I doing on this field, bro?
yeah. So
Like,
you're probably right in that maybe the attitude after things like that,
mm,
maybe a little bit of work, which was supposedly what they did real well 2 years ago. You know, when they just got in, pulled the socks up, and just
mhm.
dug in and kept playing. Next set after all that anyway. But it just seems like it's whatever it is. I mean, this game specifically, the Sharks game, yeah, just seemed like it really got the better of them, unfortunately. And
I mean, there was even a moment there where even Chad blew up,
mm, mm,
blowing up at someone. I think it was Nana. I think Nana threw him a bit of a dodgy ball.
yeah, yep,
Chad dropped it, and he
lost
turned
it.
and lost his shit a little bit.
Yeah, yep,
Which I sort of felt bad for Nana, but also like, at that point the game was so far gone, and
yep,
the attitude was just like out the window. Everything was out the window, so it was just like it's just another thing to stack on the pile, you know.
yep. Um, yeah, that's it. I mean, we can't really, like I said, can't harp on too much more about it. You can only hope for improvement and whatnot. This week we do have the Panthers at home here, so it's not going to be any easier by any means. I mean, I don't know whether Cleary is back just yet. They've just dropped. No, it looks like his team list has just dropped. So yeah, substantially harder. You're gonna have a pretty well full strength Panthers side to contend against rather. Um, he did speak about making some changes, so we'll just run through the teams real quick and see if there are any initially. It's looking pretty similar in
Pretty
the back
similar.
line there. You've got Drinkwater, so from Drinkwater, Felt, Holmes, Chester, Valame, and Dearden up to Townsend are all the same. We probably expected that as much, I'd say. Your forward pack here, we've got McLean, Robson, and Hooker, Neem, Finafuiaki,
Same.
Nanai, and Cotter, which is exactly the same. And then in your interchange there, we've got Jake Granville, Jason Tamalolo, Sam McIntyre, and Thomas McKaylee. That's the one change he made.
Yep,
Interesting.
they've only changed McKaylee with Gajewski.
Yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
too.
I mean, we probably saw that coming, or the need for that to come, like we were just speaking about. You know,
Yeah.
you want,
I mean, that's how it was played this week, anyway.
yeah,
Um,
you want him to bleed his players that are not leaving, really, and give them a game, especially when they do have that quality about them, quality and skill set about them. But
mm,
yeah, very after how disappointed he was in that press conference from what I watched and talking about changing the team, looking at changing the team, it's pretty well exactly the same. So we'll see, I guess.
strange.
We'll see. Good to see though, McKaylee getting a run finally. I think a lot of people have been wanting to see that. Again, he's not. I don't think you're kidding yourself if you think he's the answer or he's going to change things.
No,
But
of course not.
regardless, very good to see him finally get a run because he was very promising in the trial. So it could just bring us
Mhm.
that little bit of flair we need in the outside, in the edge roll, or whether he even slots into the middle at some point. I don't know. Um, we all know JT is not the forward he used to be. It's a different role completely. He's not the wrecking ball anymore. So he's managed as he is, but probably needs to be utilized very specifically.
Mhm.
So they are in desperate need, I think, of someone to replace that. I do like McIntyre. Not as big of a body, unfortunately, but I do like him. I think he's coming along well, and that he's getting a bit more game time as well. So yeah,
It's funny because team lists have only literally just dropped, like
yep,
in the last, and I'm already I'm already blowing up. My message is already blowing up from people saying, "Yes, he's only changed."
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just, it's already blowing up.
yeah.
So I'm sure. Well, I guess, geez, media is going to be good this week. It's going to be a good week.
There'll be some annoying questions
Yeah, it will
asked.
be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's going to be a tough game, man. It's pretty well a full strength Panthers side, so hopefully more of a contest at the very least than what that Sharks game was. But yeah, you know what I mean. You really, after what we've seen, what's been dished up, I'm not personally expecting to see much more. I mean, I hope they
I
do
mean, honestly, look,
significant.
even if we don't score many points this game,
Mm,
even if we lose this game,
mm,
I think the only thing any real Cowboys supporter or fan wants to see from this game is an improvement on defense. A
100%.
low score line doesn't, it doesn't matter. It
Yep,
doesn't matter whether we win or lose, as
yep,
long as it's a low score line from the
yep,
Panthers.
yep. If we can if it can be a 10-2, 10-4 game, something like that, 12-4, something like that.
Something where we've made them have to work for it.
Yeah,
Something where made them have to grind that game out.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly. That is
and
in my eyes.
I even still think there is a chance to win. You know,
Yeah,
Cleary's only fresh back. You know, never know what happens in this game.
yep.
It's a crazy game, rugby league.
Mm,
Gould says it every week. You probably don't want to hear it from me because Gould says it every week, and that's probably more than enough. Do you want to hear it? But
yep, yep,
this game is crazy sometimes, and
yeah,
I think realistically, the only thing that a real Cowboys supporter wants to see from this game is a low score line.
yep.
That's it. Even
Some sort of improvement in defense, some sort of
just
yeah.
defense improvement.
Exactly right, and that's where I guess the positive or everything lays from there is you get that right, get your foundations right, and then you can go back to the flary attack and putting points on like
That's
we
right.
used to. Just get the defense right.
Completions and defense. That's just the two things we need to have. Well, I guess you could also tack in a little bit of attitude there as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly
This
right.
game's going to suck. This game is going to be rough to watch and going to be hard to play. I guarantee it's going to be a hard one to really play. But
Yep,
um, you know, this is the game where you need to sort of get the socks pulled up, like you said, and
yep,
just
yep,
take the good with the bad and
yep,
really try and instill a bit of faith back in yourselves and your fans.
yep. Yeah, so Saturday we'll see the results from this one. Hopefully, it's a little bit more positive anyway.
Mm.
A little bit more positive than what we've seen the last few weeks. Don't think there's too much more in the way of news or anything really. We haven't really had anything in the way of
It's
signs or
only really
anything.
been
So
Jakey
yeah,
basically getting
yep,
the nod.
yep, yep. So we'll see how we go this
Well,
weekend.
and McKaylee getting the run on as well, but
Yep.
well, sort of.
Yeah, yeah. Finally,
The bench finally, hopefully, maybe.
hopefully teams don't change again and he drops out. That's all I'm hoping for. We'll see how we go this week, and we'll come back to you. Come back to you hopefully with some better news on this life at the outpost. Thanks for tuning in.
Sad cowboy noses out.